In this lecture, I want to highlight the differences between what we call a C++ core language feature or a standard library feature or an STL feature, because these are terms that come up a lot if you happen to read some documentation about C++. A core feature is really a basic building block that makes up the C++ programming language. You can think of it, for example, how you define variables, the rules that govern how you can define and use a function in C++, the rules that say what you can do and not do with the basic features of C++. That's really what can be qualified as a core feature of the C++ programming language. I don't know if that makes any sense. If we come back in Visual Studio Code, we have a program we have used in the last few lectures. For example, these basic types that you use in C++, the rules that define how you can define a function. For example, if you put an angle bracket here and try to compile this program, it is not going to work because we have violated the rules of the C++ programs. The basic rules that define how the C++ programming language works, the basic types that are defined in the C++ programming language, these little things make up the raw ingredients you use to make up a proper C++ programs. And these little raw components that you use to put together a C++ program are called core features. You can think of them as the foundation on top of which we really build daily use C++ programs. The standard library is a set of ready-to-use, highly specialized components that we can easily use in our C++ programs. And again, coming back to our program in Visual Studio Code, IOStream here is a standard library feature. String here is a standard library thing we have in the C++ programming language. And again, the C++ standard library tries to provide highly specialized components that we can use in regular C++ programs. When you use the C++ programming language, you don't really want to extend the C++ programming language. You want to use it to build something of your own. And the standard library features are things you use to work on your programs very fast. For example, we have used stdcout without really going into the details of how the data is taken from this program to the terminal. That's really advanced and probably complicated, but it is wrapped into these reusable components, and one of them is IOStream, and we can use it relatively easily in our C++ program. Okay, I hope now you have a better idea of what the C++ standard library is. Now, what is the STL? The STL is really part of the C++ standard library, but it is a collection of container types. Think of them as collections of things. And we have a set of types that allow us to store collections. We have algorithms or functions that work on these collections. And we have specialized types that are called iterators that allow us to navigate through these containers, potentially running these algorithms on each element in the collection. This is probably not making sense by now, but you can think of the STL as a highly specialized part of the C++ standard library. And we're going to learn about many features of these things throughout the course, but I want you to have a basic understanding between these three terms: a core feature of the C++ programming language, a standard library feature, and the STL. And I really hope this is clear to you by now. This is really all I had to share in this lecture. I hope you found it useful. We're going to stop here in this lecture. In the next one, we're going to try and recap what we saw in this chapter. Go ahead and finish up here and meet me there.